At one point, we just have to confront what's actually going on here. The U.S. commercial food supply chain is a complete mess. Dozens of massive food production and processing plants all over the country have seemingly randomly burned to the ground over the last couple of years. I mean, millions of chickens and pigs and other livestock all lost to the fires. And look at the quality of the food that we're eating as a nation. Look at the garbage that's being promoted as healthy food. You know, we're being told to eat lab-grown meat and cricket paste. I mean, this is crazy. We're being told that beef and eggs are bad for us, that they're killing the planet. Nothing could be further from the truth. We need to get back to our roots. We need to start eating real food sourced from real people. And that actually brings up another point that I want to make about the food supply chain here in America. You know, see, the truth is that the meat industry has been practically monopolized by 4 of the largest meat packers in the US. Seriously, it's just 4 companies handling over 85% of the entire US beef supply. What happens if catastrophe strikes again and the US food supply chain takes another blow, another huge blow? I mean, look, if you love beef as much as I do, that should concern you. And maybe you've wondered why, store-bought beef tastes so bland, so flavorless in comparison to farm fresh beef produced by local farmers and ranchers. It's a valid question. What's the difference? And so if you've ever tried local beef, you probably know what I'm talking about. And I want you to understand exactly what sets pasture-raised, family-grown beef apart from what you're buying at the grocery store. Local pasture-raised beef is on an entirely different level from commercial beef. The taste, the texture, the massive health benefits, the ethical standards that these cattle are raised in, they don't even compare to commercial mass production beef that's raised in feedlots. No comparison. And if you want a simple list of what to look for to identify the difference in the quality of the beef that you're shopping for, just comment the word list below and I'll DM it to you. I'm Dallas. I'm from Fat Cow Ranch here in Wyoming. We raise Highland beef here on the ranch and we do it the right way. Our goal has always been to finely tune our process and to set a new standard for what makes beef truly exceptional in this industry. So what I want to illustrate is exactly what sets pasture-raised beef apart from what you're buying at the store. And as I mentioned before, there are really just 4 commercial meat packers handling over 85% of the entire US beef supply. It's hard to believe, I know. So maybe you're wondering, what's their focus? And as you might imagine, it's lowering costs, increasing profit, both of which, by the way, are accomplished by importing beef from foreign countries, saves money, and boosting production using antibiotics, artificial hormones, growth hormones, synthetic chemicals, all of these things that you probably don't want to be consuming. So it makes sense why it's so hard to find quality meat at the grocery store these days. But one thing is for sure, feeding yourself and feeding your family with a nutrient-dense, homegrown, locally raised supply of well-cared-for beef is a massive step in the right direction. And if you care about what you put on your dinner table, you should be paying attention. Most people don't even think twice about the quality of the meat that they're buying when they grab a few steaks or, a pack of ground from the butcher case over at the store. But here's why that matters. The first thing I want you to understand is that commercial operations use a one-size-fits-all blanket treatment regimen with their herds, typically, versus an animal-by-animal approach. And that means that commercial producers rely on massive amounts of medicines, chemicals, and hormones instead of properly looking after their herd on an individualized type of level. Here at Fat Cow Ranch, for example, we don't treat any of our cattle with antibiotics, artificial hormones, or synthetic chemicals. We don't do that. We rely on proper care and individual attention to every head in our herd. And secondarily, you should know that buying all of your beef from local farmers and ranchers means it's raised the way that you want it to be raised, it's treated the way that you want it to be treated, and it's fed with quality feed. On the other hand, a large percentage of the commercially produced beef that you find in grocery stores, for example, is raised in foreign countries with who knows what regulations, and then it's transported to the United States for packing and distribution. Isn't that nice? So don't be fooled by the misleading labels that claim that you're buying US beef. If you're wondering, how do they get away with this? Here's how it works. If it's packed here in the US, they can call it US beef, but it doesn't actually mean that it was raised here in the good old US of A. And like so many other small batch local ranchers like us, our cattle are raised on pasture grass, locally grown alfalfa, and they're finished with local grains. That way, we know how all of it is grown and where it comes from so that we can control the quality of our meat. That's what's important. And the third thing that you should probably know is whether or not your beef has been artificially tampered with. Here's what I mean. And I can only speak for our ranch on this, but we don't inflate the weight of our beef by injecting it with water or using carbon monoxide to artificially enhance the color. All of our beef is processed, cut, and packaged naturally. When you buy local pasture-raised beef, you should know how it's been processed, how it's been raised, how it's been packed. For example, here at Fat Cow Ranch, we process our beef here in Wyoming at a local USDA facility that's certified and has USDA staff in-house. We know the owners, we know the process that they use. We can walk through their full operation step by step. So the moment our cattle leave our ranch for processing, we know exactly what steps are taken start to finish. And that's why it's important that you know where your beef comes from, how your beef was raised, and how it's been handled. So again, if you want a super simple list of what to look for to identify the differences in the quality of the beef that you're shopping for, comment the word list below and I'll DM it to you.